Coming in hot, Chinchy. What's going on, dude?
Coming in hot, bro. You are in the best wiffle ball park in the history of the world right now. Where are we located? We are at MLB Park.
Yes, MLB Network. I'm up here doing MLB Now today with PK. Looking forward to that next couple days. And I'm up like in Studio 42. There's that like upper corner. I came up here and just makeshifted the studio.
I know. I saw you. You got stuff underneath there. Hey, wait. What's the place that has the fresh
Probably
mock?
let me see if I can turn one of these lights on.
Okay.
Nah, there's two.
Don't worry about it.
If I got those lights on, I'd probably look a lot better.
Nah, you're right. You look sexy. Hey, what's the place? What is it? Giovanni's? What's the place with the fresh mock?
Dude, you kidding me? Giovanni's the greatest. I consider it a New York deli. I guess New Jersey delis are the same, but dude. Charlie makes it fresh mozz, and him and his son Ryan. That place is incredible, dude.
That's fresh.
Giovanni's and Secaucus. What?
Yes, Giovanni's and Secaucus. As an Italian American, last name Cencimino, best fresh mozz and salami or prosciutto sandwich you'll ever have.
Incredible.
Anyway, somebody who can afford a lot of fresh mozz sandwiches for the rest of his life, and everything else. Vladdy Jr., man, lock it in. Good for him. Good for your boy. You know Mark Shapiro very well. They've been fighting so hard for years to get the big guns. They had one right in their backyard, and they made the move.
It's a great sign, dude. And good for the people of Canada. You know, good for the people in Toronto. They've loved this guy since he hit the walk-off homer in Montreal when he was 18 years old. Remember a few years back where his dad was a star in Montreal, and they played the one game there at Olympic Stadium, and he had hitting a walk-off homer. Listen, it's a great sign, man. I mean, the year that he had last year, I think they needed a star player, dude. They couldn't let Vlad walk. You tried to get Ohtani, it didn't happen. You tried to get Soto, it didn't happen. You got Vlad there, who's a star player that wants to stay in Toronto, and it just made so much sense. I guess the only question I have as an outsider, looking at it from a baseball point of view, 14 years, $500 million. Now here's the question: who are you getting? Are you getting the guy that for 2 years was an MVP caliber player, and one of those years was when he was playing in Buffalo in a AAA stadium, and last year was the other year? Or are you getting a guy that for 3 years had 116 OPS plus, was more of an average player? That's the question. So I think you're getting the guy that's the MVP type player, only learning, only getting better, only understanding the league more, has power to all fields, hits for average. Drives it line to line. I mean, he's a special player. I like to think that's the guy you're getting for 14 years at $500 million. But either way, man, they got their guy. Vlad is a guy that they wanted to get, and those fans, I think the fans were calling too, like, get this done.
I agree with that. Also, back to your point about the rough years. Here's his baseline. Worst season of his career: 264 with 26 and 94. That's not a bad baseline.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's
a really great career.
Good point, dude.
Really great career. Now, that said, of course, you're paying for the superstar player, but hey, man, people talk about nepotism. People talk about, daddy's boy, whatever. Come on, man. Is there a better lesson in the world than your dad being basically a Hall of Fame baseball player? Like, you got the pedigree. You know what makes things good. Your father was one of the greatest players ever. Never heard a peep out of him. One of the greatest guys, apparently, in baseball. You're getting a total package. We talked about it last week, the Harold Reynolds thing, where it's like you're paying the person just as much as you're paying the player. I think I would hedge my bets on Vlad Guerrero having one of the greatest careers we've ever seen.
Yeah, it could be a Cooperstown career just like his dad. I mean, he has that ability. And the one thing, asking guys, I was just with Daniel Vogelbach in Pittsburgh. He's one of the coaches there now, but he played with Vladdy last year in Toronto. Asking him, hey, tell me about Vlad. He's like, one of the best teammates out there, cares so much, such a great guy, loves everybody in the clubhouse. So like that says a lot to me. When you have former teammates and teammates in that clubhouse that are glowingly talking about you, that's the kind of guy you want to lock up for 14 years, knowing that you're getting a great human being, a great person in that clubhouse. And congrats to Vlad Jr. and all the Toronto fans, Mark Shapiro, Ross Atkins, all those guys for getting that deal done, getting that deal. You're looking at a generational type player if he keeps putting up the numbers that he put up last year.
Yeah, and stay on the front office because you know them fairly well. And we've always been kind of like fans of that front office in general. They do great things. They're great people. And just talk a little bit more about the fact, they went for the Otanis. They've been getting a little made fun of a little bit, like, oh, they go after the big guy every year. They haven't gotten it. But you know what? They're disciplined. And by the way, let's not forget, go look at the videos, everybody, of, those World Championship Blue Jays teams. That is a franchise. That fan base loves the Blue Jays. They pack the house during the playoffs. This is a great kind of like stepping stone, block for them. I think.
Well, they love the Blue Jays, dude. And at the end of the day, I mean, hey, listen, you do have to put up numbers. They've been in the wild card a couple years. Just a couple years ago, they didn't have a great year last year. I think this year, this club, with the addition of Santander, with Bichette being back healthy, with Vlad doing what he's doing, Springer's off to a nice start. I mean, they have some pieces in that lineup that's really legit. Just Kirk just got signed to an extension. Jimenez comes out of the bat, swinging the bats. Talk about defensively. There's might be one of the best defenses up the middle. There's no doubt about that. So, I think they've done a great job. But I do think, at the end of the day, this is a business, and if they don't win this year, I mean, Ross Atkins could be in trouble. And you got to win in those big markets with that money. And, I think this is a great step, what they're doing, locking up Kirk, the trade for Jimenez, getting Vlad locked up. I wonder if they're trying to try and get Bo locked up now. So we'll see. What's happening. But I think that the Blue Jays have a really good team. They just got swept by the Mets, in a tough series. They kind of left a lot of traffic on the bases. They had guys out there, couldn't cash them in. But this is a good ball club, good rotation. And, I think they're going to win this year.
Yeah, there you go. And you mentioned business. That's a perfect segue into the next topic of conversation. So Jackson Merrill signed his 9-year, $135 million deal. Okay. Bob Nightingale is reporting that the lawyers from the Players Union, quote, strongly advised him to reject due to they didn't like the 15 million AAV. This is a report from Bob Nightingale. I don't want to get into the details of that, but I just want to kind of get the player's perspective. You're Sean Casey. Think about the pressure you have when you're signing these deals and whatever, and just kind of walk me through your initial thoughts of that and your advice for like young guys who are dealing with all of a sudden, they're in negotiations for millions of dollars. You can be 25 years old, you never had a dime in your pocket. Like, how do you react to a story like that?
It's a tough one, dude, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of guys in that union that have fought for that system. You know what I mean? The Johnny Benches in the world, those guys in the 70s and the 80s, the Kurt Floods, seriously, like, the Pete Roses, guys that I was around, Tony Perez's, the Barry Larkins, the guys that fought with the labor strikes. So you understand the union's point of view as far as, hey, listen, we got to make sure that if star players are signing long-term deals that their AAV is $15 million. That's not great for other players. But at the end of the day, if you're 21 years old, if you're Jackson Merrill, you just came out of high school a couple of years ago, you were a first-round pick. You've overachieved, and you obviously are going to be one of the best players in the game, and a team comes at you for $135 million, which is life-changing money. You'll never have to work another day in your life. You got generational wealth. You're one injury away from not having that offer again. At the end of the day, I think it's a win-win for Jackson Merrill and the Padres and AJ Preller. And when you look at it, it would just be tough to turn down, dude. It would just be tough to turn down. I don't know. Would you be able to do that at 21 years old? They offered you $135 million?
No. Not only that, listen, you want to do the right thing in general, but at the very end of the day, what is it? It's your family, it's your God, it's your morals, and that's who comes first, because there's a lot of people in this world that don't, that aren't as giving, and kind of want to hurt you here and there. But remember, who was it? Chase Headley? Was it Chase Headley had the opportunity? He left millions and millions and millions of dollars on the table because he bet on himself. Now, listen, sometimes it works out. I remember Max Scherzer bet on himself, took out an insurance policy in his free agent year, made the money, but you can't. There is no guarantees.
And I do think about this. Juan Soto bet on himself. He was offered $450 million from the Nationals. Ended up getting $300 million more than that, over $300 million more than that. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing was Bryce Harper. Remember, Bryce Harper's like, no, I'm not signing until I get to free agency. Talk about believing in yourself and believing in your abilities. That's what Jackson Merrill would have had to have done. it's not easy to put up numbers in the big leagues. I know we think like, oh, this guy's going to do it. Then we're talking about Vlad Jr. He's had 5 years in the big leagues, 2 incredible ones and 3 pretty good ones. It's not easy to be
Right.
that consistent. So, and dude, here's the other thing: not everybody in baseball gets offered $135 million. You have to be a special player
Right.
that's doing great things. So I just think that would be a tough one. And also, too, when he's done with it, I think he'll be 31 when he's done with it because I think the deal starts after this year. So I think he'll be 31 when he's done. That means he's got another probably 4 or 5 year contract coming. If he puts up the numbers he's put up, he should be sitting pretty good to make probably over $200 million in his career, which in 15 years from now, though, probably will be a bargain, a major bargain. They got him for a major bargain, but dude, it's a win-win. The team is still putting up $135 million of money,
Right.
so there's no guarantees
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill's going to be a star.
Exactly. And there's just no guarantees in life. Where, if he exceeds the contract, it's very easy to give somebody more money when they've exceeded your expectations. So it's a win-win for him as far as I'm concerned, and the team too. Look, take the money, man. Money's good when you have it.
Yeah. When you offer
You know?
$135 million, now when I look at Ozzie Albies, what did he sign for? 7 years, $35 million. I'd be
Yeah.
like, no way. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, go back to Rizzo's contract back in the day. Anthony Rizzo signed for 7 years, $40 million, and then all of a sudden became one of the best players in the game. But you're stuck in that deal.
Yeah.
So, but at the end of the day, the team is putting up, 40 million, 135 million. They're taking a risk too. There's risk on
Sure.
both sides. The risk of the player
Yeah.
is that, if you get hurt and you go down, then you're never going to see that money again. And on the other side, the risk of the player is if you go out and you become a superstar, you're probably leaving $300 million on the table. Actually, look at Vlad. He went 5 years. Now he just got 500 million. If Jackson Merrill went 4 more years and put up some numbers, he's probably looking. If he's putting up the same numbers he's putting up, playing a legit center field, he's probably looking at a $600 million contract. So he left a lot
There
of
you
money
go.
on the table, but he was also offered a lot of money.
Yeah, there you go. All right, one more thing before I let you go. On the field, dude, Rafael Devers, it was about a week ago, almost a week ago today, maybe a little more, where, dude, what do you have, like 15 strikeouts and 18
Yeah,
at
19
bats?
at
He was
bats.
like one of the most historically bad starts this season. Well, he's having a historically amazing turnaround. Yeah, it was 0 for 19 with 15 Ks, and now all of a sudden he's back to being Rafael
Yeah,
Devers.
well, dude, I did a breakdown. We've been doing this thing with MLB Tonight, Dr. Casey. So Greg called me and was like, do it, Dr. Casey. So I called him from my car last week. We were talking about Devers. And if you go back and look, he was 0 for 19, 15 punch-outs. You go out back and look at his last game. He faced a lefty, which I always felt as a left-handed hitter, if I face too many righties, a lot of times throwing that sinker ball, or all of a sudden I felt like sometimes I'd start letting that shoulder leak, and all of a sudden I lose that middle away part of the plate. And I would just, a lot of ground balls. I'm like, man, I always feel like I need to see a lefty. Get me a lefty. I need to start against a lefty. Even if I don't get any hits, I need to start against a lefty because that forced me to keep that front shoulder in, really sit there as long as I could, and really try to shoot that ball to left field. So you go back to that start. He walks, he punches out a couple times, and then he has a big walk against Batista late in the game, the closer. But Chinch, sometimes when you're not looking for the ball that's fouled straight back. Sometimes that ball that's fouled over the dugout on the third base side is the lefty. You're like, there it is. That's letting the ball travel. And he hits this one foul ball against Batista. And I said that Dr. Casey came on from MLB Network. I said, he's about to get hot. That swing right there showed me a lot. He walked me. So then the next day he hit his first double, got his first hit. And then yesterday, he had a first home run, then he hit 4 hits in the doubleheader, 3 rockets off the wall. You know what I mean? So, like, sometimes for all the hitters out there, you want to get right, you got to slow down sometimes. I think about this. I used to say that. I say this to my hitters. I say it to the Yankees too. When you get lost and you're driving somewhere and you didn't have Waze back in the day, and you get lost, Chinch, and you don't know where you're going, do you speed up? No, dude.
No,
You
slow
pull
down.
over. You slow down.
Get your
You
bearings.
really slow down. You get your bearings. Where are we going? You start. That's hitting right there. What happens is when you get lost and you don't know what's going on mechanically, visually, and stuff like that, we all start to speed up, and everything's out front until you realize you're lost and that you really need to slow down. that's when you start to get good. So when I saw him swinging a ball and foul it off to the left side, that's a slow swing, seeing the ball deep. And now you've seen most of the balls he's hit in this last few games have all been to left center. Dude, that's how you get locked in. So for all the kids out there, whenever you get sped up in this game and the game's going to speed you up, remember, when you're lost, you don't speed up, you slow down. When you slow down, that's where you'll start to find where you need to go.
Great advice. And by the way, historic turnaround. According to OptaStats, whatever that is, he's the only player in modern era to go hitless with 15 plus strikeouts over a five game span, and then follow that up with 10 plus hits over his next five games.
Wow. That's awesome.
There you go. All right. What time's the show today?
Let's go tune in. I'm on at noon today. Oh, soon. I'm on at noon with BK and Ron Darling, dude. Ronnie Darling's a man.
Nice. Tell Ronnie I said what's up.
I will. Okay, Chinchy, have a great rest of the day. Right. Everyone out there, subscribe, download. Don't forget, Breakthrough Pros coming up April 27th. If you want more good nuggets and more systems like I just talked about right there in baseball, Breakthrough Pro Baseball, April 27th. Sign up, parent, coach, or player. Let's go. We'll take them all. We all could use it. Love you, buddy. I'll see you tomorrow.
Love you. See you.